So you know the drill. We're going to do the same thing we've been doing here the last 2 or 3 times. So this chart here that I'm about to highlight, if my cursor will work, go ahead and copy that down, pause the video, copy it. Don't worry about any of these pictures here that I have. Alright, so all of the stuff highlighted in yellow, we don't have to fill anything in there. So, but we do have to fill in all of this other stuff, and I know it's a lot, but it's going to be beneficial, so bear with me, please. So, the formula that we're going to mainly be using is this Z formula right here. That's what we really want. So we're assuming that the null hypothesis, P1 and P2 are 0. So we're just going to automatically fill these two in as 0, and we're not going to change them. We don't have to do anything else with these two. They're just 0. So then that means P1 minus P2, which is this right here, P1 minus P2, is going to be equal P1 minus P2, which is going to be 0 again. So P hat 1, so P hat just generally is just x divided by n. So P hat 1 is going to be x1 divided by n1. Just make sure you have your n equal sign in there. So then you can take a guess and say P hat 2 is going to be equal to x2 divided by n2, and I just realized that I accidentally clicked n2 for this one, and we don't want that, so we're going to move it back over here. Alright, so the next thing that we need is P bar, which is also called P pooled, and that formula is right here. So it's going to be equal to x1 plus x2, and I'm going to put this all in parentheses because that's the numerator, divided by the denominator, which is going to be n1 plus n2. And again, I'm putting that in parentheses because that's the denominator. And that's it. You just have to click enter. And then Q bar, or Q pooled, which is actually what it is going to be the same that Q's been since the beginning. It's just going to be 1 minus P pooled in this case. So 1 minus P bar, P pooled, equals. That's all you have to do. So now we can do this huge long formula for Z. It's a lot easier than you think it is, so bear with me. So we're going to do equals P hat 1 minus P hat 2. So we're going to start with a bunch of parentheses. So we're going to have 2 parentheses to begin with. This is the numerator, and it's this little section here. So P hat 1 minus P hat 2. Close our parentheses, minus open parenthesis. Then it's P1 minus P2. So P1 minus P2 is here, close parenthesis, close parenthesis. That's our numerator. So now we have to do our denominator, and we're going to use a lot more parentheses here, just a warning. So divided by parenthesis, it's going to be the square root of open parenthesis, because this here is a fraction in itself. So it's going to be P pooled times Q pooled. So P pooled times Q pooled. And then we're going to close, and I'm actually going to throw in another set here because this part's being added to something else. So I'm going to do plus open parenthesis n1. Oops, sorry, divided by there. My bad. Divided by n1 because that's our denominator. Close parenthesis, plus. We're still in the square root, but we're going to open our parenthesis again. Open the parentheses again because now we're going to do the numerator. So again, it's going to be P bar or P pooled times P bar or Q bar or Q pooled. Close parentheses divided by, this time it's going to be N2. Close parentheses, close your parentheses, and one more time. That should be good. We should have had them all that time. And then enter, and that's it. That's your Z bar, your Z. So that's the first part of this. We still got more. So now we have to find our margin of error, and this is the margin of error formula right here, way down here. So we skip this one right here for now. We're going to use that in a minute, but we want this right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this. Let me make sure that I'm not missing anything. Nope. Okay. Remember alpha, just a heads up, remember that's 1 minus P divided by 2. Because it's z sub alpha over 2 right here. You can see that right here. So I'll put that right there just so that you remember. But otherwise you're going to fill that in yourself. These problems often give you alpha is something. So now we get to fill in this formula, and my battery's running low. So it's going to be equal to alpha over 2. Make sure, give me just a second. I just want to check this formula out. Alright, so for the left tail, which is what we're starting with, we're going to do equals norm dot s dot inverse because we're looking for a specific x value, and it's going to be 1 minus your alpha. Alright, and then the next part is going to be times the square root, just like our formula says. Get rid of, oops, didn't mean to actually do that. And then we're going to do a lot of parentheses again. So open parenthesis, then we're going to do p hat 1, p hat, times p hat 2, close parentheses divided by open parentheses and 1, and I'm just following that formula down there if you want to follow with me, plus open, then p hat 1 times p hat 2, close parentheses divided by n2. It's the same thing as the denominator of your z. Close parentheses, and I think I need a few more in there, and I think that should be good. Alright, it didn't give me any errors, so that was right then. Okay, so that's that one, and like I said, it'll give it alpha to you. So that was for left. So now we're going to do for our two-tailed. So you're going to do equals norm dot s dot I and v. Remember, we're looking for that x value. 1 minus alpha divided by 2, close parentheses, times the square root of 1 minus, and this one's going to be a little bit different. I'm not really sure why though. Give me just a second, I'll tell you why. Make sure that I'm doing this right. Alright, so basically I just went the long way when I did this the last time. Okay, just making sure. So norm dot s dot inverse 1 minus alpha divided by 2 times the square root, open parenthesis, twice p hat times, sorry about that, p hat, oh, that's why I did that. So I never found q hat, which is what we were supposed to be using. So that's why I was using 1 minus that. So 1 minus p hat 1, close parenthesis, that's our numerator, divided by the denominator, which is going to be n1, close parenthesis. I'm going to have to go back and edit one of those formulas. I'm going to put this in another set of parentheses because this is what comes before that plus. Plus, and then the same thing on the other side, basically. It's going to be p hat, needs some parentheses in there. We're going to do 2 open parentheses times open parenthesis 1 minus this, close parenthesis divided by open parenthesis and 2 this time, close parenthesis, close the parentheses, and one more time. And that should be good. Alright, so I'm going to go in and fix that other formula, and literally all I'm going to do is copy this. I'm going to copy the square root section, and I'm going to hit enter again. Then I'm going to copy this square root section here. I'm just going to paste it in and hit enter, and now it's fixed. So the nice thing is that now that I have that copied, I can do equals, and I can actually just do that paste again. So I can do equals norm dot inverse, norm dot s dot inverse, normal standard distribution, we're finding an x value, open parenthesis, we want our probability again, which is 1 minus alpha, close parentheses, times our square root stuff, and I just hit paste and I entered it in there. Enter. Now we have that part in. So now we need to do p hat 1 minus p hat 2. If I had done this earlier, actually I don't need to do it earlier. So now I'm working with this formula right here, and this has p hat 1 minus p hat 2 here and here. So I'm just going to do equals p hat 1 minus p hat 2. It's going to give me an error right now, but that's fine. And this little box right here, it's going to be the same value for every single one of these 3 boxes. So I'm just going to drag it down, and it's going to copy it into this for me. I'm not really sure that that particular one gives me 0. Oh, that's why. So you're going to have to pull these up, and there is actually a way to fix this, but I'm not going to worry about showing you how to right now. I will eventually, though. Okay. So now we need to know our p-value. Our p-value is just norm.s.dist z. So equals norm.s.dist our z, comma 1. It's because it's true. So it's going to be almost the same value for all of them. So the left tail, remember, it's always calculating left to right to left. So the way to fix that problem when I clicked and dragged is you just have to put $signs around the letter. So once I do that, I will actually be able to click and drag, and then this is still the same thing every time, and it's not like going down as I drag it down. So if it's a two-tailed, then you're going to do times 2, because there is 2 of them. And I put this in as a logic statement, actually. So basically I did it so that it's only happening if this is the case. I'm going to leave it like this, though, because I think that makes more sense for you all. So then if it's a right tail, though, it's going to just be 1 minus like we have been for all of them. So if you want to see the logic statement that I made, if it does it, so I have basically if, it's a logic statement because it's an if statement. So I have equals if, open parentheses, so it's the logic test. So I'm saying if this, so if our z-score is less than 0, then I'm going to do 2 times, actually I do know why I did this. So basically if it's less than 0, then you have to do something specific so that it will calculate it the right way and it won't give you a negative value. So I'm actually going to go ahead and put this in here. So I'm going to do if, open parentheses, this z-score is less than 0. So if I have a negative z-score, then I'm going to use my left-tailed test. So I'm going to say that I'm going to do 2 times this particular test. And if it's not that, then it's going to do it the other one. So I want it to do 2 times D11, which is going to be this one. So that way it'll always be positive. It'll give me a positive answer. That's why. Alright, so now I can do my lower and upper confidence levels. So my lower confidence level is going to be equal to my p hat minus p hat 2 minus e. And it's going to be the same way for each of them, so I'm just going to click and drag. And then this one, it's there, this one there. That's why I didn't use the $signs. And then this one is going to be equal to this plus e. And then I'm just going to click and drag as well, and I'm getting that again from this formula right down here, if you see where I'm circling with my mouse. Alright, so here is the values that I'm using, some of the different Excel functions. And there you go. That's the table.